Geek Syndicate podcast. In 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, species of all kinds around the multiverse, welcome to Geek Syndicate. I am David Monteith, known as Mont.
I am Barry Nugent, aka The Nuge.
There is no other genre in which fans are so closely linked to the product that they like. Fans are the beating heart of science fiction, and this is their story.
From the moment that comes down and twists, you lose Gary and you get a stormtrooper.
It was the first time I'd ever got hugged by a xenomorph, and, frankly, I'm still not sure whether that was okay or not.
It's what Jodie liked. I obviously wanted to be with Jodie, so, I kind of had to learn to love it.
And so I'd like to show you my lightsabers.
On my holidays, I get to be someone else.
Excellent.
One of the big things in sci-fi fandom, which was fairly big in the States but has started really growing in the UK over the last few years, is that of cosplay. And cosplay is basically people playing in costume. You find a costume that you like, you buy it, or you make it, or you sew it, whatever it takes, and you wear it out and show it off. It's fantastic.
In my own house, I have my own costume. I'm not afraid to say it is a Stormtrooper onesie, and I'm very proud of it.
Wait. You're not afraid to say that?
OK, I have a Stormtrooper uniform, which has a zip.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. Brilliant.
Who says that, Vader and the troopers are the bad guys? The other guys are the rebels. They're the terrorists. They're the ones destroying the Empire. It's just all relative. I think we're the good guys. It's propaganda. Listen, the Jedis wear brown robes. We wear really cool armor with guns and helmets and lenses and Seriously, come on, give me a break. Which one are you gonna wear? And the helmets are put on in a very specific way. You have to put them on sideways and twist them on because that's how they fit above your head. And from the moment that comes down and twists, you lose Gary and you get a stormtrooper. I have a huge passion for the whole costuming thing. And if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. And that can mean spending hours looking at a photograph, trying to figure out exactly just how many inches one part is away from another part.
I think there's a massive difference between just wearing a fancy dress costume and a committed, and they should be committed, a committed costumer. The amount of effort and work that goes into some of these costumes is just absolutely amazing. From my point, when I decided to try and create a cosplay version of the Cyberman, it literally took me 3 years. Cosplay and costuming is obviously going out and having an amazing amount of fun, living your life as someone completely different, and you can be whoever you want to be.
Excellent.
What I love about cosplay is there is an element of bravery that comes with it, because I see some of these amazing outfits, and then I think that person's had to get on the bus. They've had to come on the tube.
Fair enough.
If you had a choice between a time machine and a spaceship, which would you pick?
Time machine, hands down.
Time machine.
You can go where you like then, can't you?
Where would you go?
Back to my wedding day. And fix the bits that went wrong. It wasn't until we'd actually signed on the dotted line to have that venue that he said to me, "Is now a good time to tell you that I really want a Star Wars wedding." And obviously you can imagine my face.
Most of it, I'd give credit to Nanette all the way. She made it sort of tasteful, yet enough cheese for me, if you like. Even down to the wedding rings.
We had Star Wars vows. I had to call him Jedi Jody. He had his Star Wars tie and Boba Fett cufflinks. And then obviously right down to signing of the register, we actually had a little lightsaber pen that lit up. And then on the day we had a stormtrooper, a biker scout, an officer and Darth Vader himself.
Miss Wedding, you may carry on.
I was stood at the front of the aisle, just waiting around, and of course the stormtrooper and biker scout turned up and sort of took position, and that was it. My heart started racing. I just couldn't stop looking at him. You know, to see him. I mean, you see him on the TV or in the movies all the time, but when you see him up close, and see it takes you back to your childhood. Just want to play with him.
Ladies and gentlemen, could you please offer your congratulations to the new Jedi and Mrs. Daddy-O.
I've started doing my own costumes now because I can't let him have all the fun. It's growing on me. It was a case of learn to love it or have lonely weekends, basically.
It's now a big part of our marriage.
With sci-fi, everyone has that moment where they know that there's no turning back, that they're hooked. What was it for you? What was your gateway drug?
For me, it's going to be Doctor Who.
My gateway drug was Flash Gordon. And by Flash Gordon, I'm talking about the Sam J. Jones Flash Gordon, you know, with... Because there was about 8 of us, went to see it, and we all saved the world together, you know, in those sort of 2 hours or however long the film was. And then I remember us coming out and the world seemed a little bit dimmer.
One day in, I think, late 1956, I happened to look in the window of a junk shop and I saw a magazine with a very evocative cover, Space Travel by 1960. And big rocket taking off, and I thought, I must have that. And after that, I was hooked. I used to spend 1 or 2 days a week going to the junk shops, going to the markets, collecting these old magazines, carrying them home, you know, precious, 6pence, 9pence a copy, reading them the same night. But the problem was, I was by myself. Then one day, in the second-hand market, I picked a magazine up and a little tiny piece of paper fell out. It was pink, badly typed, and it said, "Are you interested in science fiction? Then come along to the Erdington Science Fiction Circle." And I thought, this is for me. Quick as a flash, I made contact. I went along one dark, wet night in January 1963, knocked on the door of his rambling Victorian house, and this chap opened the door and said, "Quick, come in before she catches us." She was his landlady, and she didn't like having all these strange characters turning up. I went into the front room of his house. The walls were lined with science fiction. Everywhere you could see, over the fireplace, up and down. This was what? Walking into the Aladdin's cave. This was paradise. Suddenly, I'd clicked. Suddenly, I'd found all these books I hadn't read. And there were some other people there as well, but, you know, who cares about them? It was the books I wanted.
As well as all the fun stuff, there is a more sort of serious side to science fiction, because I think, for me, when I'm having a bad day, you know, science fiction is one of them genres that can pick you up. It can really lift your spirit sometimes. And I think that's an important power to note for sci-fi.
I think for me, it was the Doctor. The Doctor got me. I got the Doctor. And you're watching it going, I get this. Someone, somewhere gets me. And so you're connecting with people through something. And I think that this can provide, you know, a haven for a lot of people.
Trying to think of a Star Wars joke to make.
A Star Wars joke? Isn't it one like, what did Darth Vader... You know, how did Darth Vader know what Luke was getting for Christmas? He's like, he could feel his presence. When I was very little in primary school growing up, it was very difficult to communicate and play with other children due to having high-functioning autism. And so I had to find some other way of surviving, I guess, in that kind of environment. One of the ways I did this was I kind of was so involved with Star Wars that it became like my best friend. I'm the leader and the founder of the Jedi Church in the UK, called the Church of Jediism, and so I'd like to show you my lightsabers. Basically, before going to school every day, I'd watch a Star Wars movie, and same as when I got home from school. We rented out the Empire Strikes Back from the local videos rental store on VHS, and I rented it so much I broke the tape. So every waking minute I could have, other than education, with Star Wars, you know. Anyway, so there you go, a nerd's bedroom and a geeky one at that. And it was the only way of keeping me stable throughout my childhood, and I really believe that's how I was able to kind of, get through childhood. And I think that's why I have such a strong relationship with sci-fi, because it was that best friend, that I had.
Life can be quite dull. Science fiction just gives you that form of escapism to think there could be something more out there and I want to go and find it.
As you may have noticed, we're in Vulcan. Woohoo!
So in September 2012, I was having a really boring day and I decided, just for fun, I would write out a list of all the things I wanted to do, kind of like a bucket list. Everything on there was really geeky. And I decided, well, loads of people have these bucket lists, but no one actually tries to cross things off unless they're ill, God forbid. So I thought, well, why not set myself a bit of a challenge? So from September 2012 to September 2013, I basically ran around the country trying to cross off as many things off this list. The very first thing I wrote down was meet Joss Whedon, because he is an idol to me, and I know that people watching this will agree. I now have this, which is now and probably always will be one of my prized possessions. Meet people who have played captains of spaceships. Go to Vulcan in Canada, because there's a town called Vulcan, everyone should go there, it's fantastic. Create my own superhero. Learning to fly. So there was a lot on the list, and it was quite a challenge to cross as many things off as I could.
What I do like about the beautiful mind of the science fiction fans is that you can sit there and just watch TV, that's fine, or you can do something amazing. Do what LJ did. And I think that is an awesome project to give yourself.
It's in Total Recall, where someone asks Schwarzenegger's character, what's the same about every holiday that you go on? You can go to the sun, you can go to the ski slopes, but the one thing that's the same is you. Whereas on my holidays, I get to be someone else. And I think inside all of us, there's that secret child that likes dressing up.
I went to university in 2000, and then in my second year of doing my degree, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had a few weeks off to have the surgery done, and then I had a series of chemotherapy, and then I had radiotherapy, and that lasted from the October right through to about the May. And what they recommend when you have something like cancer and you having to go through all of this is that you have something to look forward to at the end of it. Because I hadn't slept very well during my chemo, I was up at night time and I discovered the whole world of online fanfic. And obviously got to meet online a lot of people. Many of them actually lived in Georgia. And they talked about something they used to go to on Labour Day, which is the end of August, called Dragon Con. I said to Chris, you know what? I'd like that to be my let's celebrate beating cancer thing.
You know, we were very conscious of the fact she might not have made it, but she did. We wanted to do something, we'd mark that. So yes, going to the convention for the first time was that celebration. It was our bottle of champagne that we cracked over the head of breast cancer.
conventions is something that has been seriously growing in the last few years, especially in the UK. They're popping up absolutely everywhere for a plethora of different reasons. And you walk in and you're absolutely wowed by everything there is around you. So much merchandise, so much opportunity to see the stars, so much opportunity to meet people. It's just incredible.
I think the first convention I ever went to completely blew me away. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, and now that it's become quite normal to me, I don't think I'll ever see anything like that again. It was the first time I'd ever got hugged by a xenomorph, and, you know, frankly, I'm still not sure whether that was okay or not.
Jaw-dropping, absolutely jaw-dropping.
Because you're just like, whoa. So much to take in, sensory overload.
70 or 80 stormtroopers going up an escalator.
Women covered in body paint, you know, dressed as characters from Avatar.
You know, there's comics there, there's books there, there's people dressed up there. What's going on?
One of the most fantastic things I've ever seen is a queue of normal people at an ATM being held up by the fact that at the front there's a giant black ant, full-on antennae, 6 legs, struggling with his card to get it into the machine. It was quite a view.
You get to be a part of something where you can literally like anything you want to. You can fantasize about anything you want to. And all of these people, they either share the same experience or they share slightly different experiences, but there's very little judgment as far as I can tell. And I love that, you know, everybody's weirdnesses get embraced in a way that they don't in ordinary life.
Back in the day when I was a kid, I literally knew one other person who was into sci-fi.
Who was that?
That was you. And, you know, whereas now, there's hundreds of people that I know.
What has science fiction meant to me?
What would my life be like without science fiction if it had never come about?
I mean, I don't want to sound glib, but I can't imagine my life without science fiction. It's been so integral to everything I've done and thought and believed ever since I was a little boy.
We have been into science fiction for pretty much as long as we can both remember, and it's become such an integral part of our lives. I don't think we can imagine life without it.
And we all love it. It's such a big, happy family. It's great. I'm so happy to be part of it. I really am.
It's like my big brother, isn't it? So it's like those things that I was dependent on for growing up and learning about, and there was those people I was fascinated with. So when you look up to somebody, that was what I looked up to. You know, I looked up to sci-fi and science fiction and those characters.
I think for me, science fiction is one of those genres in my mind that it creates moments of wonder, you know, moments of magic. It's the possibility that anything can be done, anything is possible. How could you not love that?
It is being able to step out of who I am and into what I might dream of being.
Why hide what you love? Why hide what you're passionate about? So yeah, I've always been an out geek. I think you should be proud of what you are passionate about and proud of what you love.
Everyone's got their mundane work that they do during the day, and science fiction gives them that opportunity to jump out of the run-of-the-mill daily grind and disappear off to a different world, a different time. And it'd be a very dull place without science fiction.
And, you know, spaceships make everything better.